Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. We certainly had some more volatility today, but look at XRP. Hanging out above $3 as I record this video without even breaking a sweat. That's the type of price action that we in the XRP community for years and years and years always believed was possible. And I'll still insist it's incredibly exciting to see it's holding at this level before the final parabolic blow off top for XRP this market cycle, which historically, mind you, that second of two major pumps that we get each cycle for XRP, the second one historically is always much more substantial than the first one in terms of United States dollars or whatever your fiat currency of choice is. So yeah, the best is yet ahead, and I've got perspective from 10 different XRP chart analysts in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam, including one who says that in the short term, the target is $10.47. Now, some of you, if you haven't been in crypto very long anyway, might be thinking, in the short term, $10.47, it's going to take way longer to get there. Not so fast. I don't know if he's right about the target. I don't make price predictions myself. But as far as that type of movement, that quickly, yeah, that actually is what happens. It happens very quickly. XRP, when it had its previous biggest move in history before this market cycle, back in 2017 and early 2018, it went from about 20 cents to $3.35, and it only took a little over 2 weeks. So yes, it actually can go way faster than anyone thought. And there was no precedent for XRP moving that high previously, before that market cycle. So don't think it can't. These types of moves are fairly common in crypto, frankly. And XRP has already demonstrated in the past that it is the type of coin that can have those ridiculous moves. I'll not be surprised. So I don't know where it's going to peak, but I'm just telling you, it's historically normal for XRP to get wherever it's going to go very fast. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, as I record this video, it is 4:51 p.m. Central Time, which is my time zone. It is Friday, August 15th, 2025. XRP is at $3.08. Market did pull back earlier, so we dropped as low as $3.01. Bitcoin, $117,306. 24-hour low, just a little below $117,000. So, you know, we're off the all-time high from a couple days ago where Bitcoin briefly lived above $124,000, but I still anticipate the best is yet ahead. Now, of course, the real excitement is going to be in XRP and other altcoins, but Bitcoin leads the way, and I don't mind that. That's historically normal, so there's comfort in that, you know, because history does rhyme with itself. Here's a post from chart analyst Jelly, and he posted this morning. He says, Bitcoin recovering well from that post-PPI panic, and so that was the big talk yesterday, the inflation data. He says, price held the support level. The CME gap filled for 75%. Price is now back above the 4-hour 50 EMA. $120,000 remains the area to turn into support. Once that's done, price discovery is next. So you can see the optimism is still there that you're going to have that final parabola for Bitcoin, and you know what happens after that. Alts go completely insane. Chart analyst Mustache certainly believes that. This is the crypto total market cap on your screen, excluding Bitcoin. The name of this chart is Total 2. And he says Total 2 is so close to printing a God candle we haven't seen in a few years. And so he firmly believes, and he's been delivering this message forever. History, you can see if you look at the screen what he's highlighting here. History really does just kind of rhyme with itself. And we just haven't finished playing this cycle out. And the best, most fun part is yet ahead. We haven't seen the final euphoric blow-off top that you see every single market cycle. It is coming, folks. It's not like human DNA has shifted and now the participants in the market are no longer interested in rotating their profits from Bitcoin into Ethereum and then from Ethereum into other large caps like XRP and then into mid caps and small. It's not like humans are no longer interested in doing that. They're going to do that. It would be foolish to think that what is most likely is there's a fundamental shift in human behavior. No, I don't think so, folks. Here's a post from the blockchain backer from August 13th. He was noting at the time, just a couple days ago, that the Russell 2000, which of course is small cap stocks, breaking fibs. And all we've seen now, and he noted this, he reposted that this morning. He said, so far, yesterday's liquidation was a back test. So highlighting here, this is not something to be fearful about. And in his most recent video, it talked pretty extensively about how actually everything still looks pretty damn prime. So the fact that we're seeing this, and there are a number of other assets that you can look at and key metrics, it actually just doesn't make sense to be particularly fearful here. That's the truth. Here's a post from Altcoin Vector. It says Bitcoin dominance versus ETH BTC. Wrote here, Ethereum all-time high is imminent. Ethereum rotation is in full force. Bitcoin dominance has dropped 10% since July, while ETH BTC surged 110% since April. The strongest ETH outperformance since 2021. Alt season is here. Okay, so that makes maybe 3 or 4 different analysts that I've seen claim that we are now officially in alt season, and you're going to find all sorts of talented analysts dispute. They'll say their opinion as to why it is true or is not. But of course, there is no organization that gets to determine the qualifying factors for alt season. The truth is it's subjective. So what I find actually is that people argue whether or not it's alt season, but they actually just have different definitions of what alt season is. So whether we're there or we're about there, whatever, directionally we're going the right way. I'm thrilled to see this. And look at how much Ethereum surged against Bitcoin at the moment when the market, to me it was very obvious that ETH had just hit local lows because markets find bottoms. But how many people were insisting that Ethereum was dead because the price was low? And now it is absolutely rocketed to the upside, which historically kicks off alt season. Why would you not be excited if you're in crypto? It doesn't make sense to be fearful. It doesn't make sense to not be excited here. This is the time to be excited, folks. It's coming. If history is to rhyme with itself, which it almost always does, yeah, it really will be alt season, including XRP rocketing. And XRP historically does its most impressive fun price action at the time when Bitcoin's going on its final leg up, which is what's directly in front of us. Couldn't be more obvious. Here's a post from Crypto Wizard. He was just noting, I don't need to read the whole thing, but he's highlighting here also that it's an ETH BTC chart. He says, new all-time highs coming. So there's broad agreement that, yes, of course it's coming. And that only makes logical sense. Why would this time be different? Doesn't make any sense. It's not like the fundamentals shifted to the negative. You could argue that they're negative, but I'm telling you, the fundamentals are the fundamentals. They haven't gotten worse than what they were even compared to last cycle. So just take it for what it's worth. Here's Crypto Wizard talking about XRP. He says, XRP is gearing up. A new all-time high is coming. XRP is pulling back after retesting its previous all-time high zone. The parabolic rally is nearing. Wait and see. Yeah, that is exactly what I keep seeing from, I think, literally 100% of the chart analysts that I follow, and the chart analysts that I regularly follow were correct about XRP breaking out this market cycle. So I'm not interested as much in listening to the analysts who are consistently wrong year after year after year about XRP. Now, of course, those ones, they don't really talk as much these days because they're tired of embarrassing themselves, I think. So, frankly, it is kind of hard to find opinions that are different than this, but I think that's just because all of the talented analysts, since it's so obvious, of course they agree that XRP is about to rocket. And so just seeing that there's a little bit of a pullback retest, totally normal stuff. There's nothing scary here. Higher, my friends, higher. Here's a post from chart analyst Ali Martinez. He says, XRP consolidates in a triangle. A break above $3.26 could send it to $3.90. So you are talking about yet another new all-time high, and price discovery, of course, leading us ultimately to the face melt portion of the cycle, which is what I personally am most excited for. But this should coincide with the final, bit of a burst from Bitcoin. It just historically is, like I said a minute ago, that's just always the case. So wait for everything to align. It looks like things are lining up. I'm just saying, wait for that last little bit, and that's when it makes sense to expect XRP to really go. Here's a post from chart analyst Crypto Insight UK. Says liquidity growing above us for XRP in the last 2 days. Send it to $4.34 with haste. And so, not that he thinks we'd peak there, but in the short term, he's anticipating more price discovery. Another new all-time high for XRP. Here's a post from Crypto Dame. He says, XRP, perfect bullish structure with bullish ascending triangle, and MACD looks bullish AF. New all-time high soon. And again, I'm never afraid to share the negative opinions on my channel. In fact, I like to for the sake of, diversification. And, I like to share, points of view that are odds with one another. It's certainly more interesting. I'm not only looking for one thing, it's just I can't find them, folks. Bring them to me. I promise I will highlight it on the channel and I will credit you. Like, they effectively don't exist. When I get little bits of negativity here and there, I'm like, oh, I got to talk about that on my channel because it's so rare to find it now. But doesn't that tell you something? I don't think that all of these analysts who have great track records are just suddenly wrong about something of high consequence to all of us. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And because they don't normally talk like this, not like all in unison. When they all talk in unison, that's the moment when what they say, it's almost certainly correct. That's what history tells me. Here's a post from chart analyst Dark Defender. He says, XRP will shortly finalize the ABC correction and then continue towards targeting $10.47. C corrections have possibilities, and we scrutinized them in detail today. And then he named various targets leading up to that $10.47 level and a few key support levels here. But sooner than later here, folks. And like I said at the outset of the video, and I don't know if this will be the right target if we come in lower or higher than this. I'm not in the price prediction game. I don't think this price prediction is crazy, though. But I'm telling you, like I said at the outset of the video, whenever we start going, if say that is a reasonable target, yes, it can happen very quickly. Now, he actually does think we go higher than this. He's throughout the last couple years in particular regularly cited closer to like $18, and he could be right about that. We'll find out. Like, none of that's crazy. It does ultimately depend on how much money pours into the space, because the more money that flows into Bitcoin first, the more cycles through everything, Ethereum, XRP, so on and so forth. That's rotation, my friends. Here's a post from chart analyst XR Punky. He certainly shares a similar sentiment with Dark Defender here. XRP USD chart on the screen here, and he says, XRP has been in the sideways range for the last 256 days. If you've been sitting throughout the last 8.5 months, didn't panic sell, and totally unfazed, you definitely deserve to make money. We should be commencing our next leg up soon, $10 to $15. Again, this is just what I keep finding, folks. I would share you the most negative, and I do actually when I find them, I would share with you the most negative perspective from a reputable chart analyst I can find, but they're not here. Now, eventually they are going to pop up. The good chart analysts out there, the reputable ones, when XRP is about to peak, they're going to be telling you, hey guys, warning, it's getting close. And you're going to want to know that. If you've got serious money in XRP and you want to get out before the whole thing crumbles and falls apart, which is what happens with every coin and the entire crypto asset class, bubbles inflate and then pop, you're going to want to know that stuff. And I'm sure people are going to be screaming, no, higher, 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 because that's what happens every cycle. But I'm going to tell you, when tons of good, talented analysts are warning, hey, this thing looks overheated, we probably topped or we're about to top. And I know that won't be as popular to publish on YouTube, but that's just what I'm going to do. Here's a post from Credible Crypto. XRP BTC chart. He says the PO3 on XRP BTC played out beautifully, and after testing local supply in red, we have made a move back down to the range lows. I think there is a decent chance we may form a triple tap / higher low here, and then attack the range highs again. With local supply already tested on the prior attempt, I think this time we should clear it and go for the range highs. So, and again, this is an XRP BTC chart, not XRP USD, but still in the short term, he's thinking higher. And I'm telling you, XRP is not done making Bitcoin its little tiny back batch. It already has to this point. It substantially outperformed Bitcoin. It is not done. Bitcoin is going to feel even more tremendous shame before this is all over, because it will get destroyed by the banker's scam coin, as the toxic Bitcoin maximalists refer to XRP. But of course, they're just a bunch of tribal idiots. So, it is what it is. Here's a post from chart analyst Zoom, and he says, as expected, XRP comes back down to explore the bottom of the range and closes the daily in the range. Bullish structure is still in play as long as XRP stays above the $2.75 zone, and highly unlikely that XRP closes below that. Well, again, like I said earlier in the video, XRP is showing tremendous strength at this point. So the idea of it breaking, I will say this, if XRP actually gets that low to that level he's talking about, anywhere even close to $2.75, that means that there's not a problem with XRP, including fundamentals. That means that the entire crypto market's breaking down for some black swan event or something like that. I could see that potentially happening. You never know if it's going to. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying, like, that wouldn't be insane. But the idea that XRP is just going to break down on its own, not so much. I find that highly doubtful. Here's a post from chart analyst E-Grade Crypto. He says, Ethereum dominance is sending strong signals. He says, retesting Fib 0.5 is still on the table, and I believe Ethereum dominance will also aim for the upper target at Fib.888 as the maximum target. Exciting outlook for XRP. I'm confident that XRP will flip Ethereum dominance, achieving a 20% market dominance. And, I didn't look at the XRP dominance before recording this video, but I think it's been hovering recently around about 5%. So if you're talking about going from 5% to 20% in flipping Ethereum in terms of dominance and thus, market cap, that's a fourfold increase on the price of XRP. So you'd be a little over $12, around $12.32. Right there. Now, the cool thing is that's 20% at the current market valuation. If you look at the entire crypto market cap, excuse me, which is, what is it now? A little less than 3.9 trillion. So what if that doubles? What if we're even just at 7.8 trillion, which a lot of analysts think will easily hit? Well, if XRP's at 20% dominance then, well, you'd be looking more like what? Based on the current price now, $24.64, somewhere around there. So you can see how you can get up there really quickly. 20% of a bigger number is a much higher dollar figure, which is what we want, but just a matter of time. But see, that's how you can get to those higher double-digit levels that some analysts think are probable for this market cycle. So we'll find out together. Here's a post from chart analyst Steph is Crypto. Send XRP to $20 with haste. Okay. Well, again, whenever it happens, it can happen fast here. I think there are going to be some notable levels in between if it gets that high, but yes, we're at the end of the cycle. If it's really going to go here and Bitcoin starts taking off yet again for the final parabolic move, XRP is you'll just wake up and XRP will just be ripping. And those days are always so fun because you don't get that many of them. Where XRP is truly ripping, because most of what it is to be invested, including with XRP, it's sideways and downward price action, and sometimes slow grinds up. So when you do get those days, have fun with them. I always do. That's for damn sure. But I think that we're in store for some of those because it's the end of the cycle. You get it every several years, and then that's that. This is a time to be excited, not fearful. Higher, my friends. Higher. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.